right, so here's our last video, which is solving equations using integers, okay? And more importantly, we're going to be focusing on one specific rule, which is called the division property of equality, but I'll write that later. Because the first thing that I want to go over is just reviewing. What we want to do is determine whether each of the following is a solution of 2x minus 8 equals negative 14. Part A, we're going to try x equals 11. And then we're going to try part B, which is x equals positive 3. So remember, I'm going to draw like a little line here. I'm going to do part A. Now, I always like to rewrite the problem. And anytime we are trying to determine if something is a solution, what I'm really asking you to do is just make a substitution. So, directly underneath, wherever I see the variable, I put an x. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put negative 11 inside the parentheses. So now it's just a matter of simplifying the left-hand side, and I better get a negative 14 on the left. If I don't, then it's not a solution. So when we do our math here, so we're only focused on this left side. So 2 times negative 11 is going to be negative 22 minus 8. And negative 22 minus 8 is going to be negative 30. And that does not equal negative 14. So for our first answer, we just write a big fat no. Okay? Now, I'm going to erase, and we're going to try the other solution here. So part B, they're asking us, well, substitute in a 3 and tell me what it is. So 2 times 3 minus 8. So let's focus on a 2 times 3. Well, that's going to be 6 minus 8. And 6 minus 8 is going to be negative 2. And negative 2 does not equal 14. So we write a big fat no. But what if I threw this in there? What if I said part C? What about x equals negative 3? Well, let's see. Let's see how this works here. So I'm going to substitute a negative 3. Now, 2 times negative 3 is going to be negative 6 minus 8. Signs are the same. Add the numbers, keep the sign. So negative 6 minus 8 is going to be negative 14. And negative 14 definitely equals negative 14. So we would say yes. So anytime you're asked to determine whether something is a solution, they're going to give you values of x. All you need to do is just substitute them in and say yes or no. All right? And it's that easy. But now, what if we don't give you an answer? What if I just say, this? Solve 3x equals 18. Okay? So I think some of us in the room might be able to just look at this and guess. Because what this is really asking us is 3 times what number equals 18. So if you go through like your multiples of 3, you would find that 3 times 6 equals 18. But we don't like to play the guessing game in math. What we like to do is have a nice systematic approach, or at least as close as to a systematic approach as possible. So in order for us to solve this problem, we're going to need a new tool in our tool belt. So this is going to be called the division property of equality. And to be honest with you, you already have a really good idea of what this is. So here is what it looks like. If we have two things and they're equal to each other, so we're just going to call them A and B. Well, the division property of equality says whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. And in this case, we're going to be very specific with what we're doing because we are going to be dividing both sides by the same exact number. And that's our division property of equality. Now, there is one thing we need to be careful of. C is not allowed to equal 0. Okay? So you can do this with any number you want as long as C does not equal 0. Okay? Now, if you think about this and you look at the problem above, 3x equals 18. Well, if I apply my division property of equality, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the left side, because remember, our goal is to isolate the variable. And if I read that left-hand side, that is 3 times x. And since 3 is on the left and I want it on the opposite side, I'm going to do the opposite operation. The opposite operation of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Now 3 over 3 is going to be 1, so this changes into a 1. So we just make it the letter x. And on the right-hand side, a positive 18 divided by a positive 3 is going to be a positive 6. And that is our approach to solving any type of problem like this. So the division property of equality allows us to divide both sides of the equation by the number in front of the variable. Now, I'm just going to do some examples here. So how about solve? Negative 3y equals positive 30. Well, once again, our goal is to isolate the variable. So I'm going to read the left-hand side. Negative 3 times y. So what I'll do is divide both sides of my equation by negative 3. Now, if you look on the left, over here on the left-hand side, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 3 over 3 is 1. So on the left-hand side, I'm left with a y. And on the right-hand side, a positive divided by a negative is going to be negative. And 30 divided by 3 is the hard part. That's going to be 10. Okay? Let's try another one here. We're going to solve negative 121 divided by negative 11x. So here, we just read it again. Negative 121 equals negative 11 times x. So I'm just going to divide both sides by negative 11. Now on the right-hand side, that's easy. I get an x. The left-hand side is going to be more difficult. The easy part, however, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then 121 divided by 11, you got to know, is 11. Okay? So the last thing I want to do is just a couple translating from a sentence into like a math equation, okay? So let's try this one here. So the difference of Q and 7 is negative 3. So the first thing we're going to do is find the most important word. And that is going to be the word is. Because the word is tells me that's where my equal sign is. So anything to the right of the word is going to be the right side of the equation. And anything to the left is going to be the left-hand side. So the left-hand side is definitely more difficult. But if we just read it and we think about it, I think we can get it. So the difference of Q and 7. So difference means subtraction. And what are we subtracting? Q minus 7. So here's our equation. And if we wanted to, we can apply the techniques from chapter 2. So we're going to use the addition property of equality. We're going to add 7 to both sides. And that gives me Q equals, well, you have negative 3 plus 7. So that's going to be a positive 4. And I'll let you to figure that out. Now let's go ahead and do one more. How about the number 32, or sorry, not 32, the number 132 is the product of negative 12 and z. Okay? Once again, we're looking for that magical word, and that's going to be the word is. So anything on the left is going to be the left, so that's going to be the number 132. And then anything on the right, well, that's going to be the product of negative 12 and z. Product means multiplication. So I need to write negative 12 times z. Now from here, we need to solve, so we're going to apply our division equality, or division property of equality. So I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by negative 12. Now on the right-hand side, that's going to be easy. Right-hand side is going to be z. The left-hand side, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 132 divided by 12. Well, I'm going to have to write that one out because I can't do it in my head. So 12 goes into 13 once. Drop down to 2. 12 goes into 12 once with a 0 remainder. So 132 divided by negative 12 is going to be negative 11. All right, and that's going to be it for Chapter 3. So good luck this week. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And slow down and just think about what you're doing. And your math mistakes will start to minimize. Good luck. I'll talk to you later. Bye.